Hello, everyone. Welcome back to ESA Cup Season 7. I'm Pastor. I'm joined by Pooble, and we have a best of 3 ready to serve up to you today. Kosma Gaming versus MVG. Now, Joe, we were a little unsure whether this game would even go ahead due to
Oh,
some
yes.
interesting events last week. But it's here, and we're ready for the final game of this third round of Swiss.
Yeah, and I hate to break it to everyone. It's a very bog standard best of three from sort of maps wise. Don't really expect anything interesting. It's
Yeah.
look, it's just Clubhouse Oregon Chalet. It's those three most
Woo.
played maps. Woo! I've never seen these three maps before in a best of three. But one thing I definitely actually haven't seen, no sarcasm this time, is some Tuberon play yet. I understand the new operator was played yesterday. But I didn't watch it, so I'm still sort of brand new to how this operator is going to play in competitive. Personally, I think right now they're going to be sort of a must pick. I just think we haven't had enough time to fully kind of decompose these problems and try and find out how to deal with it. And it's just so frustrating on a surface level that I would expect to see teams running it a lot within the sort of next week because this is your prime opportunity to just take advantage of a ludicrously strong defender.
Yeah, absolutely. The one sort of counter now made less effective. Obviously, Maverick being affected by those ice canisters as well. But speaking of yesterday, that series finished as a 2-1 victory from, I'm going to make sure I say this correctly, Ecclesia Esport, who beat Team Aspire 2-1. Interestingly, they actually started with a 0-5 deficit on the first map due to arriving late, lost that one 7-5, and then stormed away with the rest of the series. So that's a bit of a roundup from yesterday. Elsewhere, you see Votum, NDF qualifying from that top bracket, LDL, Flawless 7, Minions, and AGM joining the Losers Mafia squad and E-Wave for that higher bracket next week, and then the losers there as well as Ecclesia Esport, who won their game yesterday, all gearing up to be in that 1-2 bracket. And obviously, the winner of today's game will also go up into that lower bracket.
Yeah, but that of course means we're going to be saying goodbye to another team today. So it's a very sort of tense match for Kosma Gaming and MVG. MVG particularly coming off of, as you alluded to, a very controversial lower seeded match previously, one that I'm sure these players believe they probably should have won, but it just didn't go their way. I'm afraid they brought it on themselves, but they're gonna have a hopefully gonna have a fire, have something to prove here.
Yeah.
So we could expect a bit of explosive siege here.
Yeah, absolutely. It's hopefully going to see some explosions, some sort of firepower from both of these teams as we are heading over to Hanover in Germany to see Clubhouse. It's our first map of the series. Obviously, again, very, very box standard, best of 3, but still, it's going to really highlight if any of these teams have any issues with their fundamentals. And I think that is possibly a big place where we could see some imbalances if the fundamentals for one of these teams are really lacking. Because again, Clubhouse, Oregon, and Chalet are all maps that really rely on that, but Clubhouse and Oregon's more.
Yeah, one thing I'm really interested though coming into Clubhouse is we've seen over particularly the last sort of 12 months, CCTV is not played at all, really. It's so incredibly easy for teams, the attacking team, to get that main breach open that it's just deemed as a much sort of more risky site. With the introduction of Tuberon, I am really wondering if we are going to see teams sort of move closer, move towards what you would maybe think of a traditional three site rotation, completely leaving bar once again, because you can really keep that wall closed for a long amount of time as we see these bans coming in. Jackal, nothing really too strange there, but a Ram ban really piquing my interest. I certainly understand it, particularly with how vertical centric the basement site is around kitchen, but most teams still just tend to go for that sledge or even that book. There's just more comfort picks as we see another comfort pick, Mira, getting taken out here on the defense.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing to talk about with RAM as well is it offers safety and security. A lot of times you will see defenders playing around that vertical with C4s down below, with impact grenades, things like that. And obviously, when you have the RAM, your gadgetry is going to find less of an impact in terms of the kill department, which is often what a lot of teams will try to go for when they're defending on that basement. So it's not a massive surprise to me to see RAM going, but it's still a surprise nonetheless because again, less picked operator, and also it allows some of the more banned away operators like Ying, like Nock to slip their way on through.
Yeah, I think just looking at this ban phase and coming into the new season, this really on paper looks like it's going to be miserable for the attack. We have Solace unbanned, we have Azami
Yeah.
unbanned, Valk also unbanned, on top of the new operator. Strangely enough, we're not seeing any of those four in this MVG lineup. I'm really hoping that we do because it does just seem like a very clear shot to victory. You have such powerful operators that have gone unnerfed in Solace now for over a year.
Yeah.
This is your time to use them before we eventually get what should be a big balancing patch coming fairly soon. Especially, we have a new operator. The new operator is allowed to be played. There is no quarantine anymore. MVG need to make the most of this as they're heading, strangely enough, to this bedroom site first of all. They're going for a very horizontal extension here. Hakanino all the way in CCTV, reinforcing that wall. But as we pointed out in that pre-game, that wall's going to be very easy to open. So
Yeah.
it's more of a slight delay than a full-on hold around there. They're still going to be applying pressure. I'd imagine you're still going to get a player playing on those red stairs just to keep the attackers at bay. But again, with some of these operators that have been allowed to slip through and are in this game, you could maybe make this attack wait even longer.
Yeah, Hakanino is possibly waiting for a jump out here, just sitting by this secret window, but instead just allows the players to pass. Does have two canisters in pocket as well, so it'd be a little bit careless if he were to waste all of that utility and dip away from it. As we can see, like you said, Joe, this wall's going to be opened up very, very quickly indeed. The MP goes off, exothermic charge now placed, and up it opens. That's with about 30 seconds for the attack. That's kind of as good as you can expect while still keeping your fundamentals in terms of drone work. And you can see this construction wall also being opened up as well. Interestingly enough, that means that the jacuzzi wall will have to be opened by the ace like we see here. So it's not going to be as easy to actually walk inside of the map, and from an angle that often has choke, or from a position that often has choke angles being held by the defense, that bolt animation is really going to restrict the attackers as they try to move on through.
Yeah, another unfortunate thing, it looked there like one of those ace charges didn't properly go off. We saw two bits of soft wall destroyed, only one bit of the reinforced wall. It is what it is, but it's going to make it even more difficult. The thing that really has interested me, though, is we finally get this first engagement.
Oh,
taking down
Bankers!
Banqua's getting another. I was just going to point out, MVG,
Wow.
whenever there's a breach, they always sort of flock to it. There is always this intense aggression trying to catch these players off guard, and it seems to eventually have worked. Finally, there's a traders. Gorilla gets a little bit too ambitious, but Banqua's just doubles down, continues this man advantage, 2 versus 4, as really we're just seeing Kosma Gaming fall apart at the seams there.
That was beautiful from Banquas. There's another kill with the jump out, makes it 3 in the round, and now the defenders swarming outside. Strobo, last player alive. I just want to point out that C4 kill as well. Just opened up downstairs, opened up the barricade, pops himself out, and then managed to get the kill with the nitro cell, tossing it over, perfectly placed onto the player behind the shield, taking away some of that utility as well. Now we can see Shanks trying to claim this final kill, ends up taken down actually by the thermite of Strobo with about 35 seconds left. There's still time for this attacking player to actually work this situation. Obviously, it's an incredible disadvantage. There goes the swing. Vanquish shuts it down. 4 kills in the round for the Mozzie, Joe. What a performance.
Yeah, and we were saying we think MVG is going to come in this fired up after that controversial decision in their previous match, and this first round definitely shows it. A lot of aggression being brought out from these operators, continually going to those points of entry that Kosma are trying to get through. And now we're seeing that sort of raid boss, the Solace, already coming out here. Azami as well. It's a basement defense on Clubhouse. As Kosma already just sort of lost this round. I don't know, but it's going to be a very, very difficult task for them here, just with how strong this lineup is. Sure, we've at the very least got Fenrir and Miraband, but Azami and Solace so strong throughout the entirety of the round, trying to go up against these operators. Even in the early round can be difficult, let alone when there's only 20, 30 seconds left on the clock. It's really going to test the ability of Kosma to go for this full-on roam clear. At the very least, they've got that Nomad and Gridlock, so if they really want to, they could try and forgo a full clear and hold their flanks, but I do have a feeling Strobo is probably just not operating for the frag grenades, even though they have been nerfed. We didn't even mention that in the pre-match. Frag grenades can't be cooked anymore, so much more limited efficiency. We could be seeing the entirety of the sort of attacking meta shift in front of us here as more players go for these comfort picks, I'd say. But still, we're seeing a Gridlock so far.
Yeah, the attack has taken a heavy nerf in the most recent patch, and with the addition of Tubarão as well, who doesn't really have many counters at all, if any. The defense certainly looking to sit pretty when, especially on maps like Clubhouse, they were already pretty favored, especially on this basement site. Kosma getting 2 rounds here would probably be the best they can expect for, especially now that Banquas has warmed up inside of this game. Already found the opener here inside of round number 2. Wait for the player to pass, finds a second. Shanks as well with a kill elsewhere on the map on that southwestern side. Already in these first 30 seconds, it's a 2 versus 5 for Kosma Gaming. Banqua's going aggressive, tries to take the swing. Shanks actually is the one that finds another kill. Banqua's finally fell, but Shanks has a triple to shut things down. What a round from MVG. We never even got to look at the site, Joe.
Nope. Look, there was no real strategy there, right? It was just Banquas peeking things, Shanks as well. Sure, incredible teamwork from the 2 of them. But it was just down to that very early, very almost cocky aggression. Yeah. Kosma, please don't fall for that again. You're 2-0 down now. You're attacking onto bar stage here against MVG. This is Kosma Gaming's time to at least make this an all-right start to Clubhouse. Get this 2-1 up. They just need to not fall for these tricks that MVG have sort of used twice now. This very early aggression, this early response from the defense. Just counter it. Very simple. You have the better guns. You have, on average, the better sites. Although we do know how much Ubisoft loves to sort of throw around those 1.5s on defense. But Kosma Gaming should sort of be favored when it comes to straight gunfights. And that seems to be the game that MVG wants to play here. So just fully play into it. Play very slow, hold your angles, wait for one of these players like Banquas, like Shanks to really overextend, get that pick and keep the ball rolling from there. This is their one opportunity, I'd say, that they've had so far. They're attacking bar stage. If things don't go well here, there are serious questions that need to be asked, and Kosma Gaming might just start preparing for map 2 at this rate.
Yeah, absolutely. It also makes me nervous for when we see that side swap, right? This was MVG's pick. Kosma chose to start on the attack, and they are not doing great right now. Obviously, you know, if you can get a 3-3 half, then you're kind of like setting yourselves up for victory, but MVG just look like they are ready for this series in terms of the gunfights. The Shanks finds an opener yet again. That's downstairs inside of that storage room. I mean, yeah, it's not great from Kosma. Only 4 kills in the entire team right now, and all of them are impactless frags. Shimizu does at least find one. That's Charlie Feld. First engagement for him, and there's Zoro as well. Advantage now for Kosma Gaming. Hakanino takes the jump out. Has to take out the super. Shorty somehow still wins it. Shimizu, though, does take down Shanks. It's still a 2 versus 3. Still player advantage for Kosma.
Yeah, it's going to be a retake from the defense up here. Gorilla slips in, takes on Shimizu, and suddenly we're all even. 2 versus 2 here, and vertical control once again established by MVG, but they've sacrificed that site presence. And Strobo just wanders in, no intel, taken down by Gorilla. It's all on Zoro now in a 1v2, and with this Echo still on the board, and Hakanino pulling in close, he doesn't want to really sacrifice his life here. I'm not sure why such aggression is being used. You have a clear win condition, Hakanino. Just stay alive, wait for Zoro to go for a plant, play with your teammate. Zoro's pushing up close to him and gets it down, and suddenly things might have just steadied themselves for Kosma Gaming. Sure, we've got those Echo drones, Cameron, but you can't burn 80 seconds with 2 drones here. There's going to have to be a very important decision made by Zoro, and instead, he's going for this pick. He wants to just get this kill here.
He has some awareness that Gorilla might have rotated here inside of Cash. Takes a pre-fire! Gorilla wins it out. Only just, but MVG get across the line. There is that sort of 3-round mark. MVG already winning this half, 3 rounds in a row. They, I mean, are gearing themselves up for realistically a 5-1 half, potentially even a 6-0 half. Kosma Gaming, they need to steady their ship now, or this map is practically over already.
Yeah, again, we've
chose
got
to
to
start
ask
attack.
questions.
They
Why
chose
did
to
they
start
choose?
attack.
The one thing everyone has been saying and theorizing about this new season is attacking is going to be miserable.
Yeah.
The defense are getting a whole buff with a new operator. Attacking is getting nerfed on general because of the lack of vertical nades. We've got weird interactions with Maverick, and mute tricking is now a thing. Why on earth would you choose to start an attack here? There was some kind of plan from Kosma Gaming, but as you said, it's gone absolutely horribly here. 0-3 down on Clubhouse Attack, which isn't the most defender-sided map in the pool. They should be picking up around here or there, but they just aren't. Simple as Kosma. They have to do something here. They've already can't win this half. A 3-3 would be okay. Actually pretty good given the start they've had. But still, MVG have just looked on top of things on every conceivable scenario. They wiped them out early round. They clutched that previous round. They've done everything right here so far. And Kosma, they're just left in the dust. Zoro picking that 0, a stark change from what we've seen previously, could signify a slower approach. Maybe that's what they need, but still, they just haven't seemed to read into this MVG aggression.
CCTV wall, there's the read, there's the kill on it. Banqua's taken down inside of the garage by Klazari. Opening pick now for Kosma Gaming, I believe that's the first time we've seen that, but what a peek from Akanino. On the outside, takes down Kazari with a trade, and now 4 versus 4, and unable to do anything about this wall for now. No impact EMPs apart from Strobo. We'll just be sending that out. Will the mute jammer be collected? Yes, Hakanino's going for the swing though. Oh my word, what a shot. That's unreal, and the aggression again paying dividends for MVG.
Yeah, a bit of team play there attempted. Shanks doesn't quite land the shots, and I'd imagine Hakanino is going to pull back to try and just maintain a bit of presence there, but they've already done such a good job. Even man count is inherently an advantage for the defense because the attack still have to go take this ground, get onto the site. So Hakanino just needs to survive, but instead 2 of those MVG players get taken down. Suddenly, Charlie in a 1v3, Kosma Gaming gifted with an opportunity here to get that first round on the board to start this comeback here. They seem to have a decent idea where he is. 2 players holding the angle. A drone comes in, confirms that intel. Charlie's going to try for a pre-fire, but there's so much ahead of him. Shimizu got the better gun, gets 1 shot down on that frost, but still, Charlie is at large. He can potentially try and isolate these 1v1s. Shimizu, Zoro even gets taken down. Shimizu's also seemingly alone on site as Replay is holding a cover now. It's 1v1 technically with the plant going down. Charlie has an opportunity to do this, but he doesn't know it's there. Gets taken down, and Kosma Gaming finally, after all the complaining from us, they get that first round on the board. But it still got quite close at the end, Cameron.
It very much did, and it just a lack of information there from MVG allows the plant to go down under Charlie's nose to not be aware of where the players are. You could see he was pre-firing towards logistics when there is in fact no attacking players in there, and there hadn't been any attacking players in there for the entire round. So a bit of a lack of information. Obviously, they did bring an echo on some previous rounds, I believe, on the bar stage defense. Obviously, this is a different site, different setup. But there was not really any information for the defense. They were maybe relying that they were going to be able to do the same things that they'd done in the first quarter of this game, right? Just get really aggressive, get it to a position where you don't really need to have any information on site because you're in like a 3v1, 4v1, whatever. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. They were caught off on their rotations back to the bomb site by the attack. They had such a good advantage, and when you don't have any information on the bomb site, it allowed them to just swarm in and get the job done.
Yeah, absolutely. Luckily for MVG, not only are they 3-1 up, they have an opportunity to defend this basement. Such a strong site that we see really be your kind of guaranteed win in a lot of cases. And last time they defended here, as you said it, we didn't even get to the site. There was nothing even close to an execute. We just saw these players, Bangers and Shanks, continuing to get very aggressive. Question is, though, have they been humbled by that last round? Are we going to see a bit of a slower play? Because look, 4 players on the site to begin with. It's a far cry from that round 2. So, you know, maybe Kosma Gaming, they've gone into the heads of MVG a bit. They've shown that they're a capable opponent, and they've forced MVG to play a little bit more uncomfortably. That being said, though, they've still got to defend the clubhouse basement, or attack the clubhouse basement even. And that is far easier said than done.
Oh, for sure. Like, again, there's a reason why we said, yeah, sure, Clubhouse isn't the most defender-sided, but you're still looking at like a 4-2 half for the defense, because the basement is just so strong, and usually the bedroom is as well. Obviously, not quite seeing that same success in round number 4, and actually Klazari's found the opening pick again. Bankers not having that much impact after those first couple of rounds. Now 6 and 4, started off like 5 and 0. That's a good trade though from Gorilla. Klazari completely out of position, sprinting down blue, and just caught unawares. Now Bankers is left. I assume that's just some sort of technical issue, and hopefully it won't affect the rest of this round. The Kai trick there from Gorilla is going to allow at least some of that utility to be taken away, but Hibana just so strong in this situation, can use 2 of those pellets at a time, tick things down, and just waste all of this defensive utility. Yeah, Hakanino doesn't have any impacts left. Actually, the Tide Claw still stays alive, but now we can see those Selma charges coming on through as well. Hakanino trying to play the vertical, caught out though. Just a bit too aggressive. Shimizu shuts that down. It's a 4 versus 3.
Yeah, just a bit of indecision there from the defenders. They weren't sure if they quite wanted to challenge that vertical, as Replay now gets another. That Shanks taken down 4v2 as Kosma continue this momentum. It's just left to this Frost and Kaya. Charlie at least does a bit of damage, but also takes a chunk himself. Zoro, though, caught by the Frost mat, so that's at least brought the numbers down somewhat if they can confirm the kill. Charlie indeed does. Gorilla now faces 1. Replay so low on health. 1 shot from any of these defender weapons takes him down, but still, he's got support from 2 other teammates, so they want to leverage their man advantage. This is really their last opportunity to, with how low health some of these defenders are, and eventually, Shimizu does get 1, gets a second. MVG, they're not looking quite as good as they once were. You know, those first 3 rounds sort of blistered on by with incredibly good form, but these past 2, they've looked weak. They've looked vulnerable. Kosma have maybe finally sort of figured out the puzzle that this defense was setting up in front of them.
Back up to the bedroom then for MVG. And a 3-3 half would actually be pretty devastating, because for MVG, not only would you not have won the half on defense, which again, considering all of the buffs that we've seen to the attack recently and how Clubhouse generally plays, you want to be winning the half as the defense. If you get that 3-3, not only is it bad from that angle, Kosma now have a 3-round in a row momentum to power themselves into what you would favor as the better side on the defense.
Yeah, absolutely. And we gotta sort of maybe ask questions if this round is lost by the defense. MVG have access to Valkyrie, Azami, Solace, Tuberam, all together. There's so much oppressive utility they can use, and they've only ever really brought 1 or 2 of them. We saw Solace and Azami in that first basement defense. It didn't even matter though, because it was just Bankers and Shanks running out of buildings and killing people. There's so much defensive utility they can use, but they're still just kind of sticking to these comfort picks, and it did yield rewards in those first 3 rounds. But as we've been saying, things have really slowed down here, and if you're letting the opponents get onto their defensive half with a 3 rounds in a row with Shimizu takes on Hakanino, MVG might be starting to sweat here, Cameron.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I was just gonna mention actually the opening pick. We saw Klazari with 2 opening picks in a row, round 4 and round 5, and Kosma ended up winning those rounds. Now we see another one. This time it's Shimizu with a wall bang through a barricade to get that kill. Gorilla though has spotted Klazari. The pre-fire doesn't quite land though. How? You have the goggles. You can know where they are, and now caught out on the retreat at least a little bit. Fazari still holding, watching for this angle though.
Ooh.
Gorilla wins it out. That's a situation you feel like shouldn't be happening. Shanks takes down Shimizu is there, has Gorilla's back inside of bar, and now MVG have the advantage again. Kosma Gaming, they're on the back foot, but not for long. Zoro is there to trade us out. It's a 3 versus 3.
Yeah, and that's twice now we've seen Kosma Gaming kind of rush into these positions to try and capitalize on something. Previous round, we saw Klazari charge through blue because he saw what he thought was a free opening around generator, and now we see, I believe it was Shimizu trying to get that trade and failing because they weren't aware of the second defender. So Kosma is still not quite sure of everything. Neither is Gorilla, who thought that was entirely clear, immediately gets taken down and brings that man advantage back in favor of Kosma, but Zoro is still so low, taken down by a Nitro Cell. Just as I say that, bringing the man count once again down to even, technically an advantage for MVG. This is a sort of must-win round for them. They need to stop the momentum that Kosma has built up in these past 3 rounds, but it's still going to be very, very difficult for them because Kosma Gaming have looked so good so far.
Kitchen hatch being opened as well is pretty big for the attack. They're going to be able to get a lot of angles in towards this bomb site, and more importantly, allows them access to a fairly safe plant spot, especially if Strobo is going to be here inside of Dirt Tunnel, just providing some cover from places where these defenders might want to swing. It's on replay now to take the drop. He's watching for the flank though. Bank was read out and caught, and Strobo locks it down. 3 in a row for Kosma Gaming, Joe. We're all tied up. It's 3 rounds apiece.
I apologize. I'm apologizing to Cosmo here. You know,
I was
we
not
were
familiar
really
with your
critical. We were very critical of them starting on
Yeah.
attack, but they've pulled out not only a 3-3 half, but 3 rounds in a row.
Yeah.
Clearly, they have just hit their stride here, and they have not missed a beat since then. And now they get the sort of comfort of being on the defense. Strangely enough, though, once again, we're seeing a basement defense with no Solace, no Azami, no Valk, none of these tools that they have available. They're sitting right there. I get it.
Yeah.
Especially with Tuberound, maybe these strats aren't fully solidified. But just throw it out there. See what works, because it probably is going to work. Just with how strong these operators are, you could really have a strategy that isn't that refined, but it is just carried by the potential of these gadgets. So, you know, Kosma Gaming, you've done great in that second half of your attacking efforts. Going onto the defense, it should be a lot easier. But I'm also a little bit concerned because I'm seeing Jaeger, Warden, and Aruni, and we're now sort of past the days of seeing those operators. It seems like this maybe isn't quite a relevant sort of lineup here of operators.
Yeah, it's a very different look from the defense. It's the same sort of issues that we've been having.
5 seconds remaining.
From this. Hello, everyone. We're back here.
didn't-
As I was saying, it's a bit of a different look from what we've had in that first half of the game, right? But it is still the same sort of criticisms. It's not playing to the meta, it's comfort picks, and we saw when the attack can get momentum, you're not really left with any room to actually outplay them tactically. It's all down to the gunfights at that point, and again, attack, they have better weapons, they generally have the better scopes as well. Taking gunfights as a defender, you are less favored, unless it's like close quarters, you have a shotgun, SMG-11, something like that, right? So why aren't we playing to the meta?
Yeah. It just, with how much discussion we've seen in this past week, obviously we had the season delay, so there was more time for these theories to sort of bubble away. It very much looks like we are entering a period that is similar to that sort of utility 30-second meta. With the way things are currently balanced right now, we've seen people juggling tuberals and bandit batteries and being able to just keep really easy to breach walls entirely closed. And then that forces a whole change of strategy, which forces more time used, which means you've only got 20 seconds when you head to the objective. And we're just not seeing these two teams really play inside at the moment. They're still playing this like it's kind of been played in the past few months of just let's all run around and shoot people,
Yeah.
hooray. You can't do that. You just you really shouldn't be doing that. Of course, because both teams are kind of playing to this weird past meta, they're still finding some success. But we saw MVG's game plan really just came crashing down in that second half when Kosma Gaming realized, hey, we can just wait and one of these morons will just peek out and we'll shoot them.
Yeah.
So it was a very almost one-dimensional strategy being brought from MVG that Cosmic Gaming. Sure, it took them 3 rounds to figure it out. Once they figured it out, basically unstoppable. They predicted sort of every retake, every early pick that was attempted from the defenders. So fair play to them. But just seeing that lineup, it seems like they're going to try the same thing. We're bringing a Warden. I guess
Bring in a
Ying's not
Jaeger.
banned. But yeah, bringing a Warden and Jaeger screams to me that Cosmic Gaming are also just going to sort of wander around and try and shoot people. And it might work, but it's not the most reliable strategy. I just can't help but feel like if you just hide behind that utility, sure, it might not be as fun to play, but at the end of the day, it's probably going to help you win a lot more by just hiding behind this mountain of different gadgets that the defense have on the board and haven't been banned either here. So I just want to see one of these teams really lean into that.
Yeah, because I feel like that's again, perhaps it comes down to what we were saying in the pregame as well. Is it's like the fundamentals of the fundamentals of the game, right? If you as a team are able to recognize, hey, if we play just a normal defense, we can win easily, right? Like we can we we can set up our game, we can bolster up and play perhaps a bit more passive, not peeking into the attack like we saw, and then getting into a good position. That really sets you up to find massive success. And it's something we see none of these teams doing because we said, oh, if one of these teams' fundamentals are bad, they'll get punished. Unless the other team's fundamentals are
Yeah,
also bad, in which case,
exactly.
then you kind of just get games like this where it feels like it's just who can gun better.
And
Oh,
even if you do want to just fully play into what a lot of people refer to as the TDM meta,
ugh,
Tuberam just has an MPX and is faster than Warden.
yeah,
Just run around with Tuberam instead. Let's face it, Warden players they use those goggles once in a blue moon. You have potential for even more sort of stall ability with that gadget. As I hear, we are getting back into the matchup, so it will be back to round 7 here. But Tuberam, you can very easily isolate gunfights with that utility, stall pushes with it as well. But on top of that, you just have a very consistent gun. You've got the luxury of not being a 1-speed like Warden is now.
yeah.
So it just seems like the better pick. But Klazari is still picking to that sort of old reliable Warden here.
Yeah, well, I think we're into the prep phase, right? So I think that the defense have to
Yeah.
play the same operators. As for the attack, we are seeing a Ying being brought along, and again, that was something we also pointed out at the very start of this, right? Ying is the most banned operator, I think, or at least on the attack. Yeah, Solace still has her beat, but even still, most banned attacker over half of the time she's taken away. And she's been left open here. Obviously, the Warden is possibly an attempt to counter that. We can see Klazari setting up with the shotgun as well. Clearly going to be playing a more anchoring role here on the bomb site with a deployable shield as well. This is very different to how we often see a Warden played, sort of filling in more from a sort of smoke Tachanka perspective, just without the plant denial, instead using it to see through smoke, see through the candelas that Banquers might be bringing along.
I'm a bit perplexed by the setup we're seeing here. Klazari opening up a great big hole that stares directly onto the bottom of those main stairs. So
it's risky.
It's risky, and you maybe expect that with something like a smoke or even a Goya, right? Because you can activate that utility, you can stall the attackers there. all we've got here are Aruni gates and nitro cells to really stop these pushes here. There's no other crowd control being brought by the defense.
Yeah.
What is stopping MVG from walking down and immediately taking gunfights through that hole? As Zoro, well, has already taken down the big piece of the puzzle, the Ying, so MVG already off to a bad start, but still, you know, this setup is a bit odd as one set of those Hibana pellets gets impact, Kaya tricked even, but as we were saying in that previous attack onto the basement, Hibana can just keep stalling this. So many, I believe 9 shots in total if you just use those 2 pellets, so
Yeah.
it's really going to test Reclay's patience and his reaction time, and Hakaninu can also just go elsewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. I do really like this from Replay, though. Just instead of just leaving the Guide Claw out just to die, essentially, picking it up, tricking like you would see traditionally on a different surface. And you can see, because Replay was doing that over on the kitchen hatch, that's forced the attack to use 2 of those EMPs on Motor Hatch when really only 1 would do, because they're paranoid that maybe he's moved to tricking over on this Motor Hatch. We need to be prepared for that possibility. And that's exactly why we can see just a little bit of utility misusage, and that means that Replay is going to be more secure on the kitchen hatch trying to hack that. It's worked out really well for the defense.
Yeah, and on top of this, just look at MVG's lineup. There's only soft breach charges from one operator, the IQ, who's now out of soft breach charges. Replay realistically could probably just keep tricking this hatch, but it looks like there might just be a full send around church, 2 bodies dropping as well. 5v2, at the very least Hakanino gets 1, but immediately traded out by Zoro as Strobo gets the final 1, and MVG, they just had no real way of executing the way they wanted to anymore. They only had 3 breaching charges. It was clear they wanted to flood in through somewhere with Candelas, but with Ying being taken out so early on, MVG decided, right, just go next, try and push in, go for a very, very aggressive play that I'm sure they didn't think would play out. And indeed, Kosma Gaming win that round. They're now up in the series for the first time. 4-3 as things continue to just get worse for MVG.
Yeah, 4 rounds in a row now for Kosma Gaming. Even that rehost that we had to go through has not stopped their momentum thus far. Successful basement defense. We head up to the top floor for Gym Bedroom. Again, very strong site for the defense. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a 5-3 lead here for Kosma.
Attackers need to locate and defuse.
Yeah, absolutely not. With, as you said, going up to Gym Bedroom, another one of those stronger sites that's really gonna. I think Kosma Gaming, their momentum is going to be tested by that tertiary site. This, we can sort of comfortably write off, I'd say, as a win here. I don't want to curse anything, but just with how trends go and how particularly the trend of this match has gone, Kosma have looked very, very good. Again, though, we aren't seeing a lot of utility. There's no wall that proper sort of denial. The mute can stall, and maybe if we're lucky, we might see that potential glitch mute trick thing. I don't know if it's a feature.
I've got no idea.
I really don't know. I saw someone, I think I saw Guz say they put an R6 fix about it, but I don't know. Either way, mute still has got somewhat of a buff here, but there's no concrete wall denial. There's nothing that actually destroys those gadgets. So MVG should have a fairly easy job getting into the building. But once they get in, they've got to deal with all of these aggressive factors like the Mozzie, like the Jaeger, because Kosma have looked very, very strong.
Banker's immediately falling again as well. Zoro. Banker's not been having the greatest time since.
Oh, was that the same peak?
Very successful. Yes, it was. Bankers used that peak to get an opening kill, even in round number 2. To come back to bite him in the bottom. 5 versus 4 now for Kosma here within the first minute. Again, since those first few rounds, Bankers has really had his impact in the game drop. We saw like five kills in the first 2 rounds, and I think it's only been 1 or 2 since that point. But it's symptomatic, really, for all of MVG. We saw in that previous round, only Hakanino got a kill. They're not having the same impact that they did the first bit of that half. Kazari as well finding a kill onto Shanks. Charlie taking some damage as well from that jacuzzi breach. Taking some shots in towards Strobo, who is playing inside of that bathroom, but still nothing landing. Only Zoro taking some damage so far. Gorilla could at least manage to find something. Tried to go for the pre-fire though, and now his position will be telegraph noted as well as Kazari swings, finds a second, takes down Charlie. It's all going wrong here for MVG.
Yeah, Gorilla, I think the round lives and dies off of his push there, but by exposing his position, it gives Klazari the confidence to go for the swing on the breach, and that really just solidifies the round. 2 quick kills from Kosma Gaming, bring this up to 5-3, 1 away from this map point, 2 away from what I think we would consider to be an absolute humiliation for MVG at this rate. They've really got to pick up the pieces here because Kosma Gaming just continue to look so dominant now on their defenses, going to bar and stage. This is MVG's chance to put up a bit of a fight in this half. If they lose this round, it's all likely over. Kosma have just been this unstoppable force so far. We're seeing a Maestro being brought out, and so far, obviously, with Attacker repick, there's no sign of anything like a Brava or a Flores. I'd imagine that should change. If MVG know anything about attacking this site, they need to pick one of those 2 drone-based operators because this Maestro camera single-handedly sort of stopped any kind of execute, along with the bulletproof camera from Klazari. They need to deal with these pieces of thermal vision utility, because if they don't, there is simply no chance they can go for any kind of comfortable execute here. But on top of that, they've also got to deal with an entire vertical hold. We're seeing those defenders march up those stairs, and that's an entirely different setup. If they can't deal with either of those 2 things, or both of them, this is going to be a lost round, simple. So it's really going to test how efficient MVG are, how good they are at dealing with these different factors. And I'm not seeing a Flores, I'm not seeing a Brava. How are we going to deal with all this utility, MVG? Because I'm just not sure how.
It's a risky strategy. Obviously, you have a Jaeger in play as well. So grenades don't necessarily look the best for this task. And Maestro now having 3 cameras as well. There was a period of time when he was sitting with 2. Again, it just provides more of that utility that the attack have to go through. You're absolutely right, Joe. Brava or Flores pretty much mandatory to attack into this setup. Unless, again, we just go for this sort of gunfights angle, which MVG seem to be gearing themselves towards. But they've only had 1 kill in 2 rounds, that previous one being a flawless. Replay is getting very aggressive here. Potentially could have found himself caught out by Gorilla, but just sitting on a drone, sitting further back, and they just pass each other without even noticing presence at all.
Yeah, this is looking to be very much like a direct sight hit. And Banquist does at least take down replay. That removes the laser aspect of his cameras. They can still be moved. They can still be spectated by teammates, with Shimisi taken down as well. The gunpowder on that defensive side is being limited. Only 3 players remaining as Strobo caught on the retreat. MVG have just cut apart this defense with Zoro taken down 2. It's all on Klazari in a 1v5. Can't even get 1 so far. Caught in the middle of the site, taken down. Hakanino finishes him off. MVG get a flawless and prove that they've still got fight left in them in Clubhouse.
It was some good teamwork there from the side of MVG. We could see drones coming into construction, players swinging off the back of it while attention was diverted. Very well played by the attack, and it gave me a little bit of hope that we might actually be seeing some tactical play in this game, because yeah, sure, it was all gunfights. They didn't really attack into the setup too much. We saw those drones, we saw the impact that they were having, and potentially setting us up for something a bit more think heavy.
Yeah, but it is also, I think, important to note in that round, it was entirely opened up by a very aggressive peek from the Maestro, which just didn't pay off. The attack they were gifted a free pick there onto the site, which really plunged the rest of those defenders into chaos. Now, credit to MVG, they managed to really capitalize on that bit of disorder that was caused and the rapid kind of rotations that were pushed out of the defense there. They were really good at cutting them off, really good at claiming those kills. So fair play to MVG there, but still, the kind of overall issues with that round for Kosma Gaming definitely stemmed from a bit of over-aggression there. They really played their hand a bit too soon, especially looking at replay on that bunkering operator of the Maestro, who really shouldn't be trying to engage for opening picks. Speaking of bunkers, though, we're back down to the basement. MVG, they've got a Ying. Banquez can't be the first to die here. If he is, this round might as well be over. Gorilla as well on that Montagne also adds a bit of a new dynamic here. It looks to be like he's at the very least opening up that tunnel, might try to push it instead.
Oh,
And
no.
the one thing we said couldn't happen, Cameron, because now MVG,
Yep.
they're left without sort of mass utility. They're left without vertical either. Sure, they've got a Monty and tunnel, but just how is the push going to be formulated here?
Yeah, I'm not too sure. Obviously, we do still have some hard breach charges on Gorilla. Last time there was a bit of a problem with the fact that Vanquish was the only player with hard breach charges, got killed first. However, Gorilla is also holding an active position as the Montaigne inside of the tunnel, which means he's not really available to be opening up these hatches, which means we kind of come down to the same thing we had this previous round, except for the fact that there's a bit more attention being paid to the tunnel, bit less attention being played to these players upstairs. MVG will just have to hope that that changes the dynamic significantly, but there's a lovely kill from Replay, a second as well, taking down Gorilla, the TCSG, coming alive in the hands of this Kaid here, taking down the Montaigne, taking down Hard Breach from above. Now it's just stairways for these remaining attackers or that dirt tunnel, which we've already proven to be a deadly feat should you try and accomplish it.
Yeah, this is the round essentially over here. MVG are going to have to pull off something huge, and with Shanks getting taken down, I'd imagine Charlie is probably just going to bait around a hatch, try and at least get 1 or 2 kills to end off this round and take this time, over a minute, for MVG here to discuss what has been going wrong, because this is it. This is now basically your last chance after this round. The enemy team of Kosma Gaming will be on map point. They will be on that 6-round mark, so it would be smart to use this time, but Charlie just goes in and dies. MVG, they could have had a bit of time to maybe think things through, but they just went for the full aggression approach, an approach that really hasn't worked for them for the latter half of this map. And now trailing down by 2 rounds, Kosma Gaming get to 6.
Interesting. This is the 3rd flawless round in a row as well, because we had a Kosma flawless on bedroom, then we had an MVG flawless on that bar attack, and now another flawless round coming through. This time on the basement side for Kosma Gaming. Back up to the basement, back up to the bedroom, where we had that flawless round before. Potential to repeat that same success, but obviously a just around win will do, and they've set themselves up good for it. Obviously, top floor is pretty good to defend, and if you don't succeed, you can just come here again, give it another shot, and you'd still win 7-5 without even the possibility of heading to overtime. So they're in a pretty good spot, Joe.
Yeah, well, considering the last round here was a flawless win, yeah, they're in an incredibly good spot here on this bedroom site. Once again, going for this more horizontal hold still. No sign of a bandit or anything, it's just mutes, so that does sort of limit some of the positions that can be played by certain defenders, but certainly didn't deter them last time. We're seeing just a lot of utility spread around. There's castle barricades, there's mute jammers, frost mats as well have caused a couple of deaths here towards attackers in Clubhouse so far. And Shimisu's got a drone, so they've even got intel, something that maybe these defensive teams have been lacking and not choosing Valkyrie, but they've basically got it all. They just need to convert on these gunfights, and they've been very good at that.
Yeah, indeed. Banquas, well, we hope we don't see a repeat of that previous round. I think they're actually the opening death in this top floor attack as well there on the Nook. So, again, definitely hoping for that not to be repeated. Possibility even for a kill as well. And there is the backstab from Hakanino. Great trade from Shimizu, at least, to stop the bleeding, stop that damage. Banquas was not the opening kill there. We can definitely say that that's checked off, although there is a ping on a player. The C4 doesn't quite go as far as it needed to. Shanks with the catch out as well. MVG in a decent spot so far. This first minute's gone by and they have the player advantage.
Yeah, and they've basically got that entire eastern side of the top floor as well under their control by taking down Shimizu. it's really made things a lot more comfortable. Sure, they've got a shield to deal with now. Strobo could waste more time, but still, they're no longer under a sort of active threat anymore. They're very much now attacking onto preset defenses. But Zoro goes down below, takes down one, but again, traded Banquas this time on the Nook, now trying to march his way up those main stairs as we see replay placed on a mute jammer in what really should be quite a high stakes scenario there. We know that there's attackers close to the site, but I guess he just prioritizes that utility denial, wants to make sure he's remaining hidden in gym, because if he's not droned, he could definitely play spoiler here. He's in a bit of an off angle here, could catch up someone from the window or from construction. There's a lot of avenues for him to get a kill, but the SMG-11, not a kind gun. And if he misses a couple of those shots, it's game over for him. So, very high risk spot here.
Yeah, absolutely. Strobo's in a little bit of danger as well, just from the hatch there. However, Gorilla takes the drop. It's a frost mat. There's the drop from Banquas. Does find the kill, only just. Replay now coming up to swing. There's the kill. It's 1 versus 1. Does he know where Charlie's playing? That is the question. Coming in through from construction. The information is there. Punches out the camera, watching rating for this position. Replay holding close with the shotgun. The smoke grenade doesn't quite land either. Both these players head on a swivel, trying to see where the other one lies. Replay now just watching a slightly different angle. Charlie is peeking into it. The long-range gunfight should favor the thermite, but shots ring back and forth. They go wide. It's now 10 seconds left on the clock. Replay with this swing around. Charlie's heard the audio get off the plant, and the swing is there. Only just MVG, but they only just hold on.
Yeah, really. Round should have been lost when he gets off the plant. There's a shield. There's a shield, but heat of the moment, the mute goes for the pick, tries to get the kill. Doesn't. MVG given a lifeline there in the 1v1 after what looked to be a great round, and then a horrid execution there with that frost mat. Still, they win the round. They've gotten it to max of regulation. Round 12 now. There's still potential for overtime here. It's not won yet for Kosma Gaming, but they can go back to bedroom and gym, a site that overall they have looked strong on, even if they did just lose it. If they just don't sacrifice a couple of those early picks, don't get caught off guard by one of those MVG players just sprinting up red stairs, things could go drastically different here. It was really just one off of those early gunfights. If those go the other way, we could already be looking at a 7-4 win. So MVG, they didn't have a completely foolproof plan last time, and I doubt they're going to try it again. So Kosma Gaming have a real opportunity to still lock this out. It is by no means over yet for them.
Man, oh man. This is scary now. This is quite scary for both of these teams. Kosma, this is kind of like their last resort, right? It's been 3 halves both ways. If we get to overtime, they will be starting out on the attack yet again. As far as I'm aware. So maybe it favors them, maybe it doesn't. I'm not entirely sure. There's a great opener from Gorilla, taking down Klazari. Gorilla finally gets on the board again in this half after the rehost. All signs pointing MVG so far, Joe.
Yeah, absolutely. The only thing to consider is Gorilla is low HP. If one of these other players can get a trade-off, that's a trade the defense is likely willing to take, and even more so, taking down the Yana, that active entry now in favor. I would definitely trade a Jaeger, all that set it and forget it utility, over something with so much active power like the Yana. This is still looking pretty good for Kosma, even more so as Hakanino, a sledge taken down, and that hard breach is still on that half health. Banquas at least trades out, but he's so low as well. Kosma should still be winning these trades if none of these gunfights go drastically wrong. As Strobo gets taken down, Charlie taken down low. It's only Gorilla in a 1v3 on that ace. Already taken damage at the start of that round, so close to death, so close to a map win here as Strobo takes him down, and Kosma Gaming, they complete what looked to be a very, very poor map at the start, but they still win it 7-5.
It's a bit of a roller coaster of emotions for these two teams. The first map finishes here. Like you said, 7 rounds to 5 for Kosma Gaming. They take their opponent's map pick of Clubhouse. And now we will be heading over to their own pick of Oregon after the break. Now, obviously, again, we've said it, bit of a boring map pool for a best of three.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we definitely saw some exciting moments there on Clubhouse. Kosma, I mean, what a win, especially you said it, considering that start they had, they were 0-3 down. And, I mean, after then, they looked very, very strong.
Yeah, they're gonna have a similar sort of journey in Oregon here, or at least a similar start, because it's their pick, MVG. This time, not going with the more kind of off the wall strategy of Cosmo. They were just firmly happy to start on their defense on Oregon, and I would say Oregon maybe is a little bit more fair and more lenient to the attackers than Clubhouse. So
Perhaps?
if Cosmo could get it done on Clubhouse starting on the attack, Oregon might also be sort of very, very nice for them here. It's already their map pick, but just based on the sort of trajectory we saw so far on Club, maybe it's a 2-0. You know, MVG, sure, they're starting on the defense, but there's still a lot of work there because Cosmo Gaming looked incredible on those final 3 attacks.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's just hope that MVG have learnt from that map, and let's hope that Cosma have as well. It hasn't necessarily been the cleanest of games, but there's still a lot to learn from, a lot of good moments as well. We'll see you after a quick break, and when we come back, map 2, Oregon, will be underway. See you then. Welcome back to the stream, everyone. He's Pooble, I'm Pasta. We're back here for map number 2 of our best of 3 series here today. Kosma Gaming versus MolotovGang. If you missed the first map, it was a 7-5 win for Kosma on Clubhouse. That's MVG's map pick. Now we're heading over to Oregon. I believe we said that before, picked by Kosma Gaming. So, Joe, I believe you had something that we wanted to go through.
Well, we had a little bit of a quicker introduction before that first map. So we did miss out on talent predictions, and I'm only really bringing this up because I might have voted in favor of Cosmo Gaming, and they're so
Perhaps.
far winning the series. So, and it looks like a lot of people are currently very happy with their predictions. Unfortunately, oh god, and I believe it was Freddie.
Yep.
Not quite right so far, but we still have potentially 2 maps remaining on this best of 3. So, by all means, there could be a little bit of a comeback being staged, but so far, Cosmic Gaming do just look very, very stronger, just particularly after the second half of Clubhouse.
Yeah, absolutely. Already, really, just from those after those first 3 rounds, really.
Yeah.
It sort of felt like they sort of got their act together, and yeah, we saw MVG win a couple of rounds on the attack. It was one of those was a flawless round, but their attacks overall looked significantly shakier than the attacks from Cosma Gaming. And why do we bring that up? Well, Cosma Gaming start on the attack here on Oregon yet again, I believe. Yes. So they picked the map. MVG chose to start us on the defensive side. So, yeah, we have that slight difference here in that this time the team chose to start on the defense, but it's the same setup from that previous map. Cosmos start on the attack. And we saw shaky start. They lost those first 3 rounds. They looked a bit lost. After that, they were locked in. They were keyed in. MVG couldn't really find a response.
Yeah. I think we should be going in soon. I think one player has just been hit with internet problems. Another thing to note, Gorilla, I believe, subbed out in favor of Shinji on the side of MVG. So maybe that is the change they're looking for that they hope will bring a better map here. But still, you know, there's plenty to play for. We've sort of harped on about how strong the defense is at the moment with so many just powerful operators. And with MVG starting on the defense, they get a very nice sort of lenient first half to try and put rounds on the board. So it's sort of definitely doable for MVG to win this. But so far, you've got to just think that everything is in favor of Cosmic Gaming just based on how that first map went and how their attacking half really ended up transpiring.
we head into Oregon, let's have a look at these operator bans then, because we had some questions about the operator veto on the previous map, Joe. I don't think that's an unfair comment to make.
Oh,
Because
yeah, absolutely.
Ying was left through. We had a Knock and a Ram ban. No, sorry, Jacqueline Ram ban. Knock was also allowed through. Now, we didn't see much Ying, and we didn't even see much impact from the Ying when we saw it. Bank was being the opening death both times. This time, though, she is banned away. Makes a lot more sense on Oregon than the Clubhouse, but she's very strong either way. But I mean, I don't think I can see an Oregon without a Ying ban currently.
No, absolutely not. And it just makes so much sense. There's so much utility that a Ying can just lob at the defense. And with Nook being taken down, I'm a little bit more hesitant about that ban, to be honest. Nades aren't anywhere near as potent on Oregon, I would think. Obviously, you lack the ability to cook them, meaning you lack the ability to go for those sort of cheesy vertical kills. Sure, Nook can still sort of creep by camera, still has a good gun, still a stealthy operator, a good sort of second entry, but I wouldn't say ban worthy. Mira, though, makes a lot more sense. Mira just continuing year after year to be a very big roadblock in front of any attacking force, and with Fenrir also acting as a similar role to just stop any pushes. It makes sense that they're both taken off the board, but of course, just like Clubhouse, Solace, Azami, Valkyrie, and the new operator Tuberam all left unbanned here. And I would really hope MVG make the most of that. We already see Shanks on Solace here, so hopefully they maybe go for a bit more of a utility focused defense, because that deathmatchy style worked initially on Clubhouse, but once Kosma Gaming figured it out, there was no success to be found at all. And in fact, it ended up really being quite a depressing ending to that half for MVG.
Yeah, absolutely. Another thing as well, as we saw, we maybe had the same criticisms about Cosmic Gaming on their defenses as well, but we did see them using their utility a lot more. I'm especially
Attackers
thinking
need to
about
locate and defuse
replay
the
on the
bombs.
Kaid doing incredible work in terms of getting utility taken away. And in general, we saw a bit more of a focus from the utility on the defenses of Cosmic Gaming. But again, it wasn't too much. And I feel like MVG could have done a bit more on their attacks to actually to exploit that. So that's also something to watch out for in the second half. For now, though, we're heading over to the top floor here. Again, you pointed out the Solus from Shanks, who will just be roaming down below, trying to take care of any of those drones. We can see 3 drones gone already in the prep phase here. So especially that utility, it's coming in quite handy for the side of MVG.
Yeah, but talking of utility, Cosmic Gaming really seems to have the correct tools for the job. As Strobo, I don't think he realizes how close he was gifted to just a free opening pick there if he just committed to the pre-fire. Shanks eventually does get his head taken off, though. This time it's Zorro on the Hibana, getting rid of Solace, such a key operator for the defense, slaughtered in the first 30 seconds. Back to my original point, Cosmic Gaming, they've got that Flores on board, and Pacanino is really gonna, that's gonna be his worst nightmare. 4 drones that can explode to take out 4 explosive canisters. It's a match sort of made in heaven for the attack, and it can really lead to a lot of that stalling potential being ruined if the side of MVG aren't good at dispatching those drones. So it's really going to be up to them to try and keep this overall setup intact, because Strobo is going to have the time of his life with those drones.
Especially as there's not much bulletproof utility other than those Vulcan canisters. We don't see any bulletproof cameras coming through. We don't see any sort of Banshees, I guess. We also see a lot of the time, or Maestro cameras, it is just those Vulcans from the Goyo of Hakanino, who, speaking of, is very close here on this attic, possibly going to be able to get a kill onto Kazari, sticks his noggin through, gets taken down. Shimizu now trying to find the kill, indeed does. It's a 3 versus 3. These kills are traded back and forth. Banquist gets in on the action again. Another lovely shot in response from Shimizu brings us to a 2 versus 2. Replay trying to clear the breach on the other side of the map. These 2 attackers very much separated. Diffuser as well inside of no man's land, inside of the attic. He's gonna need to get that back, and the attack aren't going to be able to go off of trades with one another. They're in very isolated positions, Joe.
Yeah, the only potential is that they can link up around Trophy here, but Replay still got a lot to deal with here. He's very aware of the potential for a flank, but Shimizu is covering that, in fact. Goes all the way deep through pit, throws a flash towards Kids.
So well
Shinji
done.
still not flashed yet, but doesn't matter. Replay takes him down, and Kosma Gaming get that first round in really quite an impressive fashion even. That execute was just beautiful between the two of them. They were clearly very keyed into what the other person was watching. They played as a team despite being so separated. Fantastically done from the attack there, because it was really a good shot by MVG. They got those opening picks. They had a
Yeah.
decent amount of utility, but just the continued pressure, the continued trades being brought up by Kosma led to a round win, and already a good foot forward on Oregon.
I mean, let's just talk about that crossfire as well. It's with those two players as separated as they were getting, those long range crossfires is very much not an easy task. They held each other's angles. You can tell there was that communication as well, because being so far apart, you're not necessarily going to know how
Attackers
the
need
other
to
person's
locate
playing,
and
what
defuse the
positions
bomb.
they're holding, and especially as it was a bit of an unorthodox way that the kills came through, you're not really going to be able to prepare for that sort of situation. That is on the moment communication, and it works out perfectly for them. Kosma Gaming with an incredible start here on Oregon.
Yeah, even sort of going back early in the round as well, it looked like everything was lost when the Goyo got the pick in the attic.
Yeah.
But we see a very just confident play all the way from Trophy. Was one of those players who unfortunately was taken down. I think it might have been Strobo. It must have been Strobo. Just pushing in, getting that trade, and sure, he died, but it gave the freedom for Shimizu to then push in and then get another trade. So it all just worked out beautifully, and sadly for them, it's going to be a lot harder to do that on a basement attack because of it's so boxed in. There's so many more hard walls. So this is going to be a real test here, but they might be given a similarly free opening pick here, and indeed they are. Hakanino, what are you doing, man? You want to be playing this as a 5v5. Well. Klazari takes him down with the F2 as well, not even the DMR, with that FAMAS. This is just already a horrid start for MVG, because that's your Mozzie taken down, your pest around the map. Already off the board, as Klazari has been allowed to get so close to sight.
Is able to take away some of this utility as well. Obviously, being on the Twitch, we saw that just get taken down by the Wamai of Shinji, and now the regular drone comes through. Just trying to scout some more information, trying to find any utility that could get zapped away by that shock drone. Kosma Gaming in a very good position for themselves. We can see how easily they're setting up with opening up these hatches as well. Charlie is over here on Freezer Stairs, who could potentially play spoiler to this with the shotgun. There's a swing out, but the shot doesn't land somehow. Just catching the elbow of Shimizu. Kazari takes a bit of damage as well, but it's not going to be enough to take him down. 5 versus 3 for this Kosma Gaming attack, and still potential to push for more here inside of the freezer. Shimizu with another Shanks now, head on the swivel, trying to find any of these players. There's another kill here from Shimizu. Absolute warrior marching down, flawless at least denied by Shinji, who finds a second as well. Kazari though is there, ready and waiting to shut it down. Kosma Gaming, what an attack here onto the basement. Usually a safe haven for the defenses, but MolotovGang, they cannot get anything going here on Oregon. That first round was their best shot. Now, again, Kosma Gaming, once they start to build that momentum, the steamroller starts to go, and it does not stop for them. We saw it on Clubhouse. We're seeing it on Oregon. And Joe, you just said it, Tubarao.
This could certainly change things. You know, you could potentially stall something like a push on Freezer, maybe just get a hatch closed for a bit longer, though it didn't seem like much really happened because of a hatch breach there. Again, the main problem for MVG is they're just dying too quickly. They're sort of wasting their lives so early on trying to get spawn peaks, and it's failing. So sure, I'm very happy to see the tube around here, but we haven't really seen a situation so far where the clear answer has been, we need to keep this wall closed, or we need to slow down and attack here. Obviously, with the boxed-in nature of basement, there is plenty of opportunity for Shinji to get a lot of value with those canisters there. So he could easily get some free picks there. For those who don't know, newest defender in the game has these ice canisters. I think they're called Zoto canisters. They slow down movement. They also disable gadgets. So that's the really big kicker here. But I do think for basement, it's going to be more to do with that movement speed penalty, because a lot of basement revolves around getting through areas quite quickly, like that bunker, like freezer. So I imagine that's what Shinji is trying to get here.
Yeah, obviously potential to try and do some of the hatches as well, but I agree. Movement speed is going to be such an important part of this. As we saw in that previous round, how quickly Kosma Gaming were able to get themselves into really strong positions. And this time as well, we're not seeing MVG offer themselves up for free, essentially, by attempting a spawn peek this time. Or just playing on site, playing a bit more passively. And it means that Kosma Gaming, they're actually having to work for any sort of advantage that they might want to gain here.
Yeah, exactly. It's the easiest fix they can do here is just not spawn peek, and credit to them, they finally learned that. They are going to force Kosma to try and do something here, and already, due to the fact that they haven't gone for a spawn peek, we are still at 5v5, but Kosma Gaming still in a weaker spot compared to those last few rounds, but a great bit of
my
teamwork
word.
from Shimizu and Zoro, just flashing Charlie once again and taking him down on the Warden. Must have just not been prepared due to how fast the play was. Sure, caught by the Goon Needle, but it doesn't matter. Klazari gets one and they're still perfectly safe. Shinji does a bit of damage, but can't get the pick. Klazari taken down though, so that's still, at the very least, a trade with a man advantage doubly now in favor of the attack. Shanks is trying his best here as Kosma Gaming are maybe getting a bit too over-aggressive, not fully backing each other up, because now we're seeing 3 attackers all isolated. This is perfect for MVG, but they really don't want to test it. They don't want to sort of over-aggress here, and you can't blame them. It's been the key downfall of them in these previous rounds, but right now, it's their only chance as Zoro walks past Shinji. Shinji gets one, 2v1 still for the new operator, and can't make it happen. We saw Tuber around for a brief minute. I don't even think we saw the canisters on the stream, but it doesn't matter. Cameron, Kosma Gaming are just too good. They went from 0-3 down to start off Clubhouse to 3-0 up on Oregon.
However, does that mean we're seeing a similar symmetry? MolotovGang might just get 3 rounds in a row here. Perhaps. Perhaps.
I don't see it. It seems like Kosma Gaming have massively woken up here.
Yeah. I think so. And they haven't, like, I didn't get to see any of Kosma Gaming in the group stage, I will admit. And they had some rather not uninspiring, but certainly disappointing results here in Swiss. They had a 7-2 loss against MDF on Oregon, had a 7-2 loss against Wii Sports on Skyscraper. Now they find themselves here, and the start of Clubhouse again wasn't impressing me. I did sort of wonder who this team were, and they came second in their group as well. Did have 2 losses, but even still, they at least did decently in the group stage. And, you know, maybe I was like, this team, maybe they're not too bad, but the Swiss hadn't convinced me of that. But this is what I like to see from these teams. You know, they are adapting well, they're playing tactically pretty smart, and for a team that took some very quick losses in these first couple rounds, if this, maybe they were just outclassed, or maybe they've turned things around. And honestly, I'm hoping that it's the latter of those, because it shows that if they have had that growth in this short space of time, there's potential for them to grow even more.
Well, finally we're seeing a Valkyrie in this series. I've been unbanned in both of these maps, and Shinji finally picking up that operator. That's the one player that we've seen so far picking these traditionally strong operators that have managed to evade the banning field so far. So he's at least trying something new for MVG, and it certainly seems like it could be the key to success, offering up so much in terms of intel and fragging power. Bankers, though, getting so aggressive, knows exactly where Shimizu is, gets the freest kill of his life, but still has to potentially be worried about trade, so instantly gets out of there. Good on him, though, for getting that pick. Finally, you set yourself up on the right foot in a round, but you still have to convert it, as Kosma Gaming have already pushed in through Master Bedroom towards Closet. They have Trophy in their sights as well. They're very, very close to the bomb site, Cameron, so despite being a man down, they can easily even things up.
Yeah, absolutely not. quite so easy now. Shinji with a massive double C4 finds 2 players. That's the power of the Valkyrie right there. At least Replay is able to even things up at least a little bit. 2 versus 4 now. Still a 2-player advantage for MVG. Now 3-player yet again as Banquas finds a kill onto Strobo. Replay is going to have to ace and a 1v4. It's simply not going to happen. Shinji finds that kill. And yet again, I'm sensing some symmetry here, Joe.
I would be inclined to agree with you, but I think you're playing down the difference between winning 3 defenses and Clubhouse in a row and 3 attacks on Oregon in a row. It seems like Kosma Gaming have definitely had to fight a lot harder for these rounds. And sure, eventually, oh boohoo, we've lost a Oregon second floor attack. Heartbreaking. That's clearly the start of this downfall. But they've still, they've made more than enough space themselves already, getting those 3 rounds on their attacking half, and still.
Yeah.
Aside from that kind of nightmare C4 from Shinji, they were kind of close to even things out in terms of gunfights. We saw just after that Nitro went off, we saw a pick towards Pit, so it was clear that there was still a plan involved there to try and apply pressure on the site early. It was just unlucky that they didn't look for the Valkyrie camera. They didn't know Shinji was playing below and gets the freest double kill of his life, alongside Akanino getting a very easy kill onto that player outside. So MVG, they've gotten out of that rut, potentially. They've already won around here. They've broken that win streaks. So there's something for them here. But going back down to the basement, where they looked so... I'm just not going to mince words. They looked so bad at defending that against Kosma Gaming's attacks. It doesn't really fill me with confidence. Maybe we want to just poke around, see if a tertiary site will do, throw Kosma Gaming off of their game, because they were just so clinical in both those rounds.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm mainly just sort of commenting on the deja vu here, just for sort of storyline replay. That's not the best. This drives drone into the pest there, but at least it shuts it down straight away. It gives some form of information out of the hands of the defense. Hakanino has taken some damage, but it's Banquas who finds the opener here onto Klazari. Another good start for MVG. Perhaps starting to find their footing here on Oregon. At least a little bit. However, like you said, 3 rounds on the attack here for Kosma is already probably good enough to be in with a good shot at winning this game. And winning this series 2-0.
Yeah, it's the same scoreline they got on Clubhouse, so
yeah,
it's definitely by no means a stressful situation here. But talking about momentum, they don't really want to lose these next 3 in a row, and Shimizu's trying his best. Can't take down Shinji though, and still we have a man advantage in favor of the defense, despite Kosma Gaming's best effort to take down some of these roamers. They even need to go and get the diffuser on an entirely different floor, so it's going to cost more and more time. That's exactly what MVG want. We're seeing now they've fully retreated back down. They know it's going to take Kosma a lot to do this setup. They know it's going to be a very high-pressure scenario when they eventually go for this execute, and they can just collect their kills by holding angles. MVG have played this beautifully this round. They're looking to get their second round on Oregon here, unless Kosma Gaming can pull off something huge.
That's a lovely shot from Strobo, at least. Hakanino does find a response, so that's taking down Replay. And Strobo is pretty low as well from that previous engagement that we just saw. And again, there goes that Vulcan canister. There goes the kill as well. Now Zoro forced to drop and forced to die. Charlie with 2 kills in the end of the round there. There's the first, and there's the second. Beautiful play from the Warden. And there's a second round for MVG. However, now they have to go onto a tertiary site. Kosma Gaming possibly could even win this half, Joe.
Indeed, they could. MVG heading to Meeting Kitchen, so they've finally sort of been forced here. We've said they've won their primary, they've won their secondary. It's definitely a good sign for them. Unfortunately, they did also lose the first 3 of the rounds, so usually when you're in this spot, you're up kind of 4-1 and you're like, okay, we can accept a 4-2. This time, 3-3, at your absolute best, a 4-2 or a 2-4, I guess, really is not going to help you swapping sides here unless Kosma have an equally sort of disastrous start to their defenses, as we're seeing. A bit of a, I was going to say peculiar lineup. There was an Amaru flashed for a brief moment there. We're not seeing it anymore. Instead, we've got that Ram, who really seems like this was one of the sites that she was tailor-made for. There's a lot of sort of open floor space above that B site where you can just rip it up with those drones. So it allows for a lot of angles to be made and essentially removes any kind of safe hiding spots for the defense, any kind of power positions in that B site itself, or even the sort of neighboring server room as well. So we're going to be seeing MVG likely have to play much more of a retake style, playing these long angles or just fully committing to holding above here, because they can't really allow for the Ram to go unchecked in kids, because they will just completely tear up the floor, completely stop any kind of game plan MVG want to have.
Let's see. Again, this defensive setup.
Beautiful.
Oh, okay. You know what? I'll make my point in a second. Shimizu, lovely shot taking down Banquist. Again, just aggression. Banquist just caught off guard a little bit. And clearly the information's there from this attacking side. As I was saying, though, again, it feels like for the defense, we're moving into a bit more of a comfort pick lineup here. Perhaps just a little bit more unfamiliar here on the tertiary site. Going to this comfort picks does make a bit of sense, but we can see those boogie drones coming on through. Replay playing that Ram, and lovely shot from Zoro as well. The cutoff is perfect. Strobo as well. Find kills. It's 2 versus 5. MVG suddenly in a very tight situation.
Yeah, statement round here. Luckily, Charlie's gifted 1 pick there. Shinji as well. Gifted another. Guys, what are we doing? Come on, there's still 2 active defenders on the board. It's not a 1 round yet. They've done great work so far, managing to isolate those 2 picks, and suddenly only a 1-man advantage. Shimizu, though, playing a very good position here, but Diffuse is cold all the way on the opposite side from him. Shimizu's going to have to try his best. Doesn't know where the player is. Super shorty to the face. Shinji, we might just be seeing a clutch here from the defense. Replay tries his best, but can't confirm the kill into Charlie. These 2 defenders still at large. I think he must have seen him drop the hatch, so intel should be relayed there. Zoro knows where this player is, but Shinji's not going to give him the opportunity. He's going to force them to try and go for more of an execute, not give away his life so early on. Force Kosma Gaming to get aggressive, get risky. That's exactly what they're going to do.
Good use of the air jabs, though, just to at least force the defenders back from their position a little bit. Zoro does have the diffuser here as well. Replay is going to walk into the site. The proximity alarm goes off now, covering these angles. Replay is going to take some pre-fires through the R4C with 1.5. Is certainly a terrifying prospect for any defender to come up against. The air jab just takes down Charlie, and it's a double kill from Zoro straight down this defense. There's the first. Quick flick onto the second. And what a way for Kosma Gaming to win out that round. It was looking a little bit risky, but somehow Kosma Gaming come over the line and they win that half 4-2.
Yeah, and that's a really important round. It not only, as you said, gives Kosma Gaming that clear-cut round advantage heading onto their defense, but it also teaches them to not sort of let off the gas. We saw then they thought they had the Ram one, and then they immediately played a much more passive style. They almost just dismissed the notion that the defenders would try and reclaim those picks, and we saw things get very, very close as a result of that. So they've almost been humbled in that round despite winning it. It was really the best outcome that it got so close. It showed them that there is still definitely a threat being posed by MVG here and that they shouldn't take things easy on their defensive half. And I think that's really going to fire up Kosma Gaming. Just keep playing at their absolute best here until this map, until this series is fully won, as they're heading down to the basement for their first defensive round here. And I'm seeing a Thorn. And I don't like when I normally see a Thorn, because I don't think Thorn's a particularly good operator. Sure, you bring that shield. Sure, your primary weapon is pretty good for defensive standards. The gadget, however, just tends to be where it all falls apart. There seems to just always be much better picks. And
don't mince your words, though. It sucks.
It sucks. It's a glorified proximity alarm that works once. And there's just better operators. I mean, even shields aren't exactly that necessary anymore when it comes to defending. So maybe just bring something like the Valk, something like the Azami, or even sort of go the way that Shinji did. Bring that Tuberam to try and stall this attacking force. Speaking of Shinji, though, the complete opposite of Tuberam instead, looking to go pretty fast on that Amaranth.
Yeah, I have to assume that's for a sort of early big tower take, just sitting on the drone right now, but will certainly be putting that gadget even into good use. Shimizu taken down early by Shanks, and we can see some early damage being dealt to replay as well on these stairs, though. Potential for Klazari to find a kill just sitting here with the shotgun. Do they know about it? Shanks is on the drone. It looks like it's almost perfect, and indeed, there we go. Shinji's taken down by Klazari, who's still sticking around, actually, on those back stairs, not prepared to give up this position just yet. Instead, here's the drones coming. Might even be tempted to rotate back down now. Looks like he might want to go for a bit of a repeat, but now, yeah, absolutely wants to come back down. There's another kill for Klazari. Hakanino takes the drop. That's Diffuser now down inside of E-Box as well. Certainly not what you want if you're this attack inside. C4 up goes as well. Klazari doing a massive job here of holding on to the fort, and could he even be finding another? Yes, indeed. Yeah. Retaking back up the stairs. Now Charlie and Banquist have forced their way in, have reclaimed this diffuser, but Klazari is back up here on the vertical. Strobo finds a kill, puts the Uzi to good use at least, and Klazari's there. It's a trade out in the end. 4 kills for the Mute in that round. Kosma Gaming, just a one gunfight, Joe.
Yeah, it was really an opposite sort of that first round. In the first round, we were praising Kosma Gaming for that great teamwork.
Yeah.
When it came to MVG in their first attacking attempt, it seemed like the Hibana that dropped, the player that dropped E-Box, had no idea that Klazari was on those top stairs, even though he'd just been droned. He'd just been droned. You immediately can assume there's a player somewhere around Shaiko. And there was just no response, really. The Hibana just completely blanked them. And it allowed for Klazari to just get that pick and just keep on going from there. Aggression from Klazari there, fantastic. The sort of trigger discipline and then the willingness to just hold your ground despite there being a lot of commotion, waiting for that perfect opportunity. Fantastic from him around tower stairs. Really good play on the Mute there with the shotgun, because it can be quite an inconsistent weapon. It can definitely bail you out of situations at time, but also just sell you down the river. So he waited for the perfect opportunity to get that pick, tuck down Shinji. Really good from him. The questions we've always got to ask after those kind of rounds, though, is can they do it without one player going nuclear? Luckily for Kosma Gaming, they're already 5-2 up, so they've got a pretty good track record so far, but still on their defenses, they can't just rely on one player getting very aggressive, because it's exactly what MVG did all the way back in Clubhouse, and it started off great, but it didn't sort of succeed fully by the end.
Yeah, that is the worry, isn't it? Shinji's back on this Amaru as well. Drone spotting out that player on the top floor of tower as well. Instead, not choosing to hop in straight away, not prepared to give his life away that easily. Instead, just finds another spot on the roof just to, set themselves up nicely for just catching off any angles from a window. Instead, though, Shanks has found himself down. Strobo with a kill as well onto Charlie. It was Zoro that found the down and kill onto Shanks. Hakanino with a response takes down Replay. It's a 4 versus 3 now. The defense, again, looking pretty good, and this time it's multiple different players doing it. Strobo does find a second. Hakanino just walks into the sightlines there. And potential for another engagement here. Shinji nearly catching Klazari off guard. It's actually Zoro taken down, but now it's all on Shinji in a 1 versus 3.
Yeah, 2 of those players on full health as well. I'm not really a fan of the aggression being put from Kosma there. We see a whole legion of defenders trying to peek onto this last player alive. It's almost a recipe for disaster, and I think Klazari, after being brought down to a single pixel of health, has realized maybe he should play a bit more conservative. But still, we're seeing Shimizu get aggressive, Cameron. Stranger things have happened. Shinji could definitely get this 1v3 here. He's got the gun for the job here, and with how aggressive these Kosma Gaming defenders are being, I'm a bit nervous. When this should be a locked-in 6-2, finally, Strobo holding a much more sort of passive, much more secure angle, takes down Shinji. And Kosma Gaming They're back on that 6-round point. They're looking to take this second and final map of the series, and this time much, much sooner than in the first map. So for MVG, you're really going to start panicking now because just nothing has seemed to consistently work here on Oregon.
I'm surprised we haven't seen a timeout at all in this game, in the series, because I feel like if there's at any point to take a timeout, it was maybe after that round 7, or if failing that, after this round 8 that we just saw, because I mean, you've got to press on the brakes. Like, Kosma have incredible momentum, and there's nothing that we've been able to see MVG do to really counter that. Shinji trying his damnedest to find something over the line. 10 kills inside of the game, actually top fragging the lobby. But it's just that one player that's having a massive impact in the kills department. And again, kills aren't everything. You have to have the teamwork. And I mean, MolotovGang have just looked outclassed in that sort of aspect of the game.
Yeah, entirely. They just haven't been able to really hold a candle to the way that we've been seeing the both the attacks and the defenses of Kosma Gaming. So it's just it's a rough spot here, and you've got to fill the Shinji. You've got to wonder what would have happened if Shinji was playing from the start of the series, because map 1 was a lot closer, and you'd maybe think with someone who's clearly shown that they've been able to not only find these engagements but win them, you would maybe think that that sort of first map would go in a different way, potentially even in favor of MVG. Hakanino, though, really not giving up yet, pushing in very fast, already in trophy, looking towards dorms. In dorms, there's so many avenues here he could go, but he knows these defenders are by kids, but it's a castle barricade. It's completely blocked off. He can try and shoot those little feetsies, but with his teammate getting shot from below, things just go so bad. That was such a good start. But Shanks just doesn't watch his feet and gets taken down. Sure, Zoro's on low health, but the trap was already sprung, and Hakanino, he might be quick to go as well.
Oh, it's so close. Strobo nearly getting another kill there for Kosma Gaming. At least this castle barricade now opened up. Shimizu is ready, waiting, gets the kill onto Hakanino. Solo health, that him having the angle advantage didn't matter. Shimizu was going hunting, caught out, punished for his hubris, and there's another kill going the way of MVG. Bankers with a double kill on the top floor. Zoro and Replay are actually quite low as well. And suddenly, this doesn't look like it's absolutely the worst situation for MVG. Just a little bit too aggressive on the top floor there from some players of Kosma Gaming, when they could have held back some angles, potentially found a different way to rotate back to the bomb site. Replay as well holds the angle, but doesn't have the reactions ready for it. And now we're tied up 2 versus 2. Players pretty much even on health as well. Bankers has a quad kill. He's not going to get the ASO. Strobo finds that one in the clutch. He doesn't know that Shinji has rotated round to the other side. Both of these players watching, waiting for each other to find the swing. Shinji peeking round the other side. Strobo's watching, waiting. He finds a swing, but Shinji, no! Somehow wins it out, denies the clutch for Strobo, and keeps MVG in this game for at least one more round. But it's still 6-3. They still have 3 more rounds to go, and they still have to now attack into a primary bomb site again from Kosma Gaming.
Yeah, fantastic play from Bankers there, getting those 4 kills, but you've got to ask questions around Kosma Gaming. Where was the sort of trade structure that we've seen them execute so well? It only seemed like they really played as a team. After his 4th and final kill, we saw the swing come through when we saw Bankers get taken down. But from there, you're gambling it all on a 1v1. And with Siege, one shot is really all that matters if you hit the head. So despite the health advantage being just incredibly in favor of the defense, Shinji still wins it, still proves himself as being a very important part of this team. On to 11 kills now, and crucially keeps his team in the match. We're going back to the basement there, I believe. That's good. Yeah. Back to the basement. So there's opportunities for Kosma Gaming to easily still win this. The real thing here, though, is they can't dwell on that previous place. It was a 1v1. It's a roll of the dice. In Siege, it's a complete roll of the dice, and unfortunately, they just didn't quite win at that time. Luckily for them, They have 3 more
10 seconds
opportunities, and
left
they
before
can't
insertion.
dwell on their past failures. They just have to think in the here and now. So
5 seconds
going
to
on to
go.
basement, great choice, great opportunity to get a lot of different picks here. We're seeing a
Attackers must
smoke from
locate and
Zorro,
defuse
which
the
is
bomb.
really sort of seemingly a bit of a blast from the past. We don't see much of that operator anymore, just aiming to really make the most of those cramped spaces as Shinji once again goes towards that big tower. He's going to try and get an entry in soon, but when that's happened previously, he's met the loving arms of Klazari, so he needs to be very, very careful.
Yeah, for sure. It was this time Zorro to find that opening kill. Hakanino being found out there inside the garage. The drone work from MVG isn't quite hitting its mark, and they still have a lot of drones left. It's not even like quite a lot of them were taken down the prep phase. Only one drone being taken down so far. Banquers as well throws in the nade, ends up baiting himself. Klazari close on this angle. Ingo the flash grenades, but he is still able to get free, and now Shimizu is ready to swing off the backside of it from the top floor. Plays that perfectly. Charlie completely caught unawares. It's a 5 versus 2, and it was a criticism that we had of Kosma Gaming earlier. Can they do it when one player isn't popping off? We've shown that they can. However, for MVG, it's been a bit of a different story. Banqua's got a 4K inside of that previous round. Now, he's dead, and, well, there's nothing that MVG seemingly can do about it. Shinji denying a flawless round at least as a second. Come on, Cosma, don't throw this one. Let's talk about that team play that we've praised you so highly about. And now it seems like they are sitting back at least. 3 versus 1. They don't want to give away any more kills because it was a 1 versus 5.
Attackers
And
recovered the
we just don't want to see it get to that position, do we, Joe?
Uh-oh. Yeah, we don't, but Zoro's on his own, and they've got intel on him, so this is still looking scarily doable, but Zoro wins the gunfight, gets the pick. Unfortunately, despite the heroics of Shinji in that second map, Kosma Gaming just proved to be too strong, and they take the series 2-0, 7-5, and a much cleaner 7-3 onto Oregon. And unfortunately, MVG become the second team eliminated here in the Swiss stage.
Yeah, absolutely. They join the 8 teams eliminated in that first phase of the tournament, and now that means that there are only 14 teams left in the competition. And that means there's only 14 teams that are going to potentially win this out. Obviously, we saw NDF and Photon already progress through to that third phase. It's now a bit of a brawl in middle round. Like look at this. LDL, LGM, 7, Math, E-Wave, Millions, and then on the other side, you have again Ecclesia Sport Gaming, V Sports, Windows Key, Esport, and now Kosma Gaming as well. It's a bit of a brawl. We have 3 best of 3s as well coming up next week, so there's a lot of action there.
I was just wondering, are they confirmed sort of standings? Looks like we may be getting a couple of technical difficulties with the cameras, but are they the confirmed matchups? Because sometimes on that graphic, it's just sort of what teams are where, but they are all confirmed.
Matches,
So
wow.
yeah, we have sort of a lot of very exciting matchups there and on both sides of the bracket.
Oh, for
Obviously,
sure.
we've filtered out those flawless teams and those 0-3 teams now, so things should be a lot more competitive here as we're entering onto what is it, the final week next week
No.
of the Swiss stage before we head to finals? 2
2
more
more
weeks.
weeks.
Getting a little bit premature there, but still 2 weeks of what should be very, very good action there before we determine those final 8 for the finals.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I just want to commend Cosma Gaming again for that series because they were incredible, especially on
Yep.
Oregon. I mean, pretty much from those after those first 3 rounds, there didn't look like there was much stopping them at all. They played a good siege and they won. It's kind of that very simple formula of play good, win.
Mhm. And I think even more impressive, there wasn't even a timeout used after that third round, right? It was
Yeah,
just I don't know if something was said by the IGL. I don't know if they just sort of all decided just get on with it. But when it got to
yeah,
round four and onwards, from all the way back in the first map, it was basically Kosma Gaming's series to win. MVG
yeah.
were consistently trailing there, so fantastic play there from Kosma Gaming coming into this series and sort of fighting off adversity so early on to just completely dominate their opponent.
It comes down to punishing that aggression, right? We saw MVG, they were playing aggressive. It worked out for them in quite a few of those rounds. But Cosma Gaming, they caught on, they started to punish the aggression that came through. And on the flip side, when we saw the aggression coming through from Cosma, MVG weren't quite able to punish it well enough. We saw Klazari in that round 7 of Oregon push up those tower stairs, get so aggressive, was not punished for it. We saw in that very final round, it was Zorro sitting inside of the garage in an aggressive position. They hadn't droned him out and they punished the attack inside of MVG. Like it was very, very well done. And it was something that MVG couldn't quite say the same for themselves.
Yeah, it was just ironic that the same pitfalls that affected Cosmos so early on were the things that ended up bringing them to victory. And
Yeah,
you've just got to commend them as a team there. We saw great teamwork throughout that entire series, and the same couldn't be said for MVG. So you can really confidently say in that series, the better team won. It wasn't just a one man show, it was
oh, for
the
sure.
better exhibition of communication and strats really paid off there and allowed them to make sort of stay in the competition. They were in a very, very hot spot there, 0-2, but they survive. They get through one step closer, only one best of three away now, I believe, right?
Best of threes.
Two best of three. I know how a Swiss system works. Everyone, don't worry. Yeah, two, of
Joe
course,
is
because
operating
there's
on
an upper and a
some
lower.
on very
There's an
little
upper and a lower
sleep.
still, isn't there?
Yeah,
So yeah,
yeah.
two best of three is away. But already, you've probably gotten the most difficult one out. You sort of
Oh,
the
for sure.
mental state going into that 0-2. You're probably not happy with your performance in the Swiss stage, considering I believe they were second in their group.
Yeah, indeed.
So they've got over that. They've beaten a really storied name in the ESA Cup of MVG. So congratulations to them. Really excited to see how it all works out next week and see if they can maintain their spot in the competition.
And speaking of next week, we have 3 best of ones on Monday, then best of threes the rest of the way. Very, very exciting stuff. And that's where we come to the end for this week. We've had an excellent time here on the stream MVG versus Kosma Gaming, obviously. We just saw that game wrap up. I've been passed. I've been joined by Poobel over on that side of me. We've had Ogon and Voigt on the observing, and Voigt's also been our wonderful producer for today. It's been an excellent time. We hope to see you next week because as we start to see some more places filtered through, the matches only get better. See you then.